Hey everyone, welcome to IF and Love Cinema. Today we're going to be talking about the 2022 independent horror film. We're all going to the World's Fair. This is on HBO Max, and it's a movie about. And by the way, I saw this movie on Sunday, so not everything's going to be super fresh in my mind right now. Um, but yeah, it's about a 14-year-old, guessing around 14-year-old girl, who is taking part of this online, like one of those dumb challenges that kids do on TikTok and stuff like that. And Yeah, and it's sort of a movie that explores um be first of all, first and foremost, the fact that it is about a young girl being on the internet is probably qualifies it enough for being a horror film. But it is also, um, watching this character become more unhinged as she loses herself into this thing that she's doing. And then at some point, a second character is introduced, an adult man, a grown ass man, like old, like balding, you know, and he starts interacting with her, and again the tension rises with that, because like that in and of itself is even like scarier. That's like the worst case scenario. But what's interesting about this movie, or not necessarily interesting, but what makes this movie kind of special, is that the movie, it's a very more so than other movies. It's very ambiguous and very ambitious, and and it definitely leaves a lot up to the imagination. A lot of this movie is not so much what's in front of you, but all the details around it, and all the little stuff in the background. You get a sense that the main character, the teenage girl, who is, by the way, the actress who played her, fantastic. She did a great job of scaring the crap out of me, and definitely also playing up the loneliness that comes with social media, and that sort of need to want to connect, and how that can play out in good and bad ways online. Primarily bad, to be honest, but um, I think what's really worth mentioning here, right, is that because it is such an ambiguous movie, because it gives you just enough for you to piece the story together, but offers so many details, that allows you to view from any prism that comes the most naturally to you. I can only tell you guys that me personally, um, I only saw I saw this movie like in the most like boring, straightforward way possible, and I'll get very and I think that's not like rare. I'll get into why in a second here. But I looked at this situation at the center of this movie, and I viewed it, with my personal view, like, oh man, this is gross, right? It becomes a movie about an older man who is starting to develop a parasocial relationship with a teenage girl, and it just really made me uncomfortable. But especially because the older man becomes the focus of the story more and more as we move on. So I viewed this movie as like creepy and disturbing and uncomfortable, and I definitely hated that character. And frankly, like, I think even people who have a more charitable read of this movie, I think even them, I think even they're a little uncomfortable by the guy, just because like it's never, again, no, nothing's fucking explained in this movie, right? But like, he just he just breathes very loudly and very heavily all the time. It would be one thing if it was only when he was talking to her, like, but the fact that you literally every time you see this guy, he's just breathing heavily. Like, you don't know what to think of him. You don't know, but like you just know that like a man his age shouldn't be talking to no teenage girl under any circumstance, unless they're like family or something like that. Like, um, very uncomfortable movie for me. And frankly, and I'll just go ahead and give you my personal thoughts here. I just think it's like I thought it was just an okay movie. I thought it was like a 3 out of 5. To be, the thing is for me, right? Like I like ambiguous movies, right? Like I like movies that leave a lot up for the imagination, but like I gotta be prepared for that. Like I gotta know that's what I'm walking into, and be ready for it because it was a Sunday night. I was just trying to like unwind and watch it. I'm one of those weirdos who watches a horror movie to unwind. But yeah, I was like, I just want to unwind, so I just put on this horror movie, and I just expected like cool, like a creepy, found footagey type of movie. Like those are kind of like comfort food for me in some weird, or that's like a comfort genre for me. So I was like, cool, like I'll watch it, and yeah, I got served this super like ambiguous indie little thing, and I'm one of those types of people who, I don't get upset when I don't get the movie that I signed up for. It's unless that movie sucks, and this movie doesn't suck. It's interesting, it's worth watching, but I think it's worth saying that if you're gonna watch this movie, understand that it's not gonna be like a relaxed, casual viewing. This movie gives you what you put into it. If you watch it passively, mindlessly, you're probably not going to like it that much. But if you kind of live in the details, the more you do that, the more you're gonna enjoy about it, right? But I think when it comes, especially to movies that are this ambiguous, there's always so many ways to view it. And so while I'm offering my view there, and that is what I feel like it is worth mentioning that this is a movie that is very big amongst the trans community. And I'm not gonna get into like spoilers or anything here, but when listening to specifically trans people talk about this movie, it was more interesting. Like the movie they saw because they were trans, and because they brought that experience into this movie, it was a better movie. Like shit, that's a cooler movie than what I got. Because to them, this is a movie about a teenager, and teenagers are in a transitional phase when they're trying to define themselves as people, right? As young adults. And this movie definitely kind of plays with that dichotomy, and with the fact that the other character we spend a lot of time with is not just a grown man, but a grown man with you know, there's a lot of again, I keep using that word ambiguous, but that's the key word for this kind of movie. There's a lot of ambiguous details you see about it, but I think the most telling one that really helps support this movie is the fact that he's staying in a teenage boy's room, and I don't know if it's his room that he never changed, that it's like a metaphor that he never changed, or if he had a son who, something terrible happened, or I don't know. That's the thing. I don't know, right? But a lot of trans people love this movie. And maybe and I'm not saying you have to be trans to love this movie, but what I'm saying is if you're going to watch this one, know that it's going to ask you to pay attention, and you need to, and if you're not going to be like willing to, you know, bring your own emotional reading into it and all that stuff, you're probably not going to get a whole lot out of this. But if you are ready and willing and enjoy that kind of stuff, I recommend it. I recommend it. It didn't blow me away by any means, but I definitely think it's worth watching for everyone, especially if you like those kinds of movies. So those are my thoughts on We're All Going on to the World's Fair. Have you seen it? If you did, what did you think of it? Make sure you leave a comment down below. Tell me what you thought. Hit like, hit subscribe. Yeah, thanks for watching. Peace.